will aggressively from day one start dealing with the issue of insecurity. We assure you, we are going to work hard to put people out of poverty. After some years, no Nigerian will say, I'm from the West, East, no, but we'll be proud to say, it's in Nigeria.
From the tweets of the first obedience to the cheers of the millions marching, the journey of Peter Obi's campaign has been a revolution, a movement driven by hope and led by the people for a dream of a new Nigeria. Selling the dream to the young and the old, Peter Obi's vision remains clear and bold. A secure nation, free from corruption and spurred by production. When belief seemed lost, Peter Obi never gave up. He sought new allies, joining the Labour Party and turning away from the old order. Selfless supporters emerged, God sent true and true. Selling the dream across borders, Peter Obi's campaign gained inroads. His choice for VP, Dati Baba Ahmed Yusuf, capturing hearts in the north, east, south and west. But stormy winds came, with fake news and allegations, opposing parties seeking to discredit and bring him down. But the movements did not falter. We stood firm, debunking every claim, fighting for our future and not backing down. State by state rallies, taking his campaign to every corner, from the security-prone to the disaster-ravaged. Peter Obi showed the people he seeks to serve a new Nigeria, a brighter horizon. His message simplified for Mama, Papa, and King. Today, he stands closer to the people, welcomed with open arms. Peter is one of us. He understands. He respects us. The polls have predicted victory. A structureless candidate is now the front runner in the race. Now the people believe that it is possible. They check his record and see a man who has conquered greed, and through it all, every moment has stood out. From the little child whose excitement captured Nigerian hearts, to the image of the young boy longing to embrace lost hope. Indeed, there is no need to doubt that with Peter Obi, a new Nigeria is possible.
Hello, everybody.
How y'all doing?
How y'all doing? Happy Wednesday.
What is it called? Hump Day?
I don't know what they call it. Middle of the week.
Midweek. Happy midweek. You're welcome to our YouTube channel. We are the Common Sense Sisters. My name is Yo-Yo.
My name is Ella. If you're joining us for the first time,
you're welcome. I hope we are all doing well, and I hope you've subscribed.
Yes.
And hit the like button. Also checking out the playlist for different kinds of videos that we have.
Exactly.
I know we've not been online for a while now, but at least we're here today to give some updates and found some interesting things. Over here, we do lots of debates, we like political talks, a
lot of political topics. Obedience.
And we're heavily obedient. So just make yourself comfortable. We have a lot of things to share today, to unpack today. So, get your drinks. I invite your friends. I get my kuli. I go to chew on for background.
Yes, invite your
enjoy, just relax.
Like, share, subscribe. Let's talk about the matters at hand today. What's happening in politics in Nigeria today?
And we also know that the state's gubernatorial election and
it's on Saturday.
This Senate and House of Rep elections, they're all on Saturday. This Saturday, the 18th. So it's coming up. We're going to go through the Twitter streets later on in the broadcast to find out what's also going on there. Those of you that are coming from work or using the train or driving home, listening in your car, I hope you're having a good day.
Let us know in the comment section once you arrive here,
where you're reaching us from, and also we hope that you enjoy listening to the broadcast. It's going to be relaxing. There might be water in the middle because you can never tell where the energy will go. But either ways, we are going somewhere. Also, that our principal has said we should keep calm. Though darkness, we're now in darkness, there is light at the end.
Of the tunnel.
The day will break.
They go break. The day will break. Then the handover will occur. The certificate of return will be returned. Our mandates will be reclaimed and restored.
And it will be reclaimed excellently. When you have to add, these are the big photos you want to be seeing in your offices in Nigeria, home and abroad. You know what I'm saying?
The giant of Africa.
Yes.
This is the face.
Just know at the back of your mind that this process we're going through, it might seem very hard, but there's something our principal is teaching us through this process. that everything is not God's way, God's way, God's way. You have to also fight for something. Understanding how to go through the legal and rightful process to challenge whatever illegalities are there, to claim what is rightfully yours. Seeing how the people on the hot seat is the judicial system, the judiciary. All right. Anyways,
let's go. So today, a video was circulating around on Twitter and the social media space from the good people of NADECO. So this press conference was trending. I don't know how many people have been opportune to have watched it, but for those who have not seen it, we're all going to be watching it together and analyzing it together. And as you've seen on the title of this video today, it's called Agbado Disgraced, Rejected by the International Community and NADECO. INEC return our mandate. So there's a reason for why we chose this title today, and we're all going to watch it together. We'll pause in between, analyze. We'll have people also come and share your thoughts. So let's all watch it together.
Members of NADECO here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, I bring you greetings on behalf of NADECO and the people of Nigeria. NADECO welcomes you to the first of its series of events planned over the next several weeks regarding the recently held presidential election in Nigeria. For those who are not quite familiar with NADECO, I'll give you a little bit about the group. The National Democratic Coalition, for short, NADECO, is Nigeria's premier and foremost pro-democracy group based here in Washington, D.C. It was initially registered in Nigeria in 1994 by a group of very prominent politicians and pro-democracy campaigners who needed a platform to fight the military regime of the infamous dictator General Sani Abacha after he took power through a military coup in November 1993 and reneged on his promises to hold elections and return Nigeria to democracy, as was its birthright since obtaining freedom from British colonial rule on October 1, 1992. No, sorry, October 1, 1960. Sorry about that. A broad-based coalition transcending ethnic and religious lines was formed, which later gave birth to NADECO in Nigeria. No sooner had NADECO begun a peaceful resistance against the then military leader, General Sani Abacha, started to assassinate and jail its members. In order to save their lives, several of NADECO members fled into exile to neighboring African countries, the United Kingdom, United States, and Canada. In 1995, those NADECO members who fled from Nigeria got together and registered a new NADECO in the United States. Since 1995, when NADECO was registered here in the US, it has continued to push for good governance and credible elections in Nigeria. NADECO alleges that the election results pronounced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on February 25 through 26, 2023, are fundamentally at odds with Nigerian election laws and constitute a wholesale disenfranchisement of Nigerian voters caused by the pervasive rot of Nigeria's increasingly kleptocratic political structure. NADECO demands that INEC draw back its curtains to let the full light of truth prove the transparency and veracity of the 2023 electoral process. It is without question that nearly all of the electoral reforms implemented to safeguard the 2023 Nigerian elections have been savaged by INEC and scattered to the winds of tyranny. It is beyond debate that initial investigation into the 2023 Nigerian presidential election discloses that Nigeria's most recent election is the polar opposite of transparency, fairness, and electoral integrity. This election was polluted by blatant bribery and widespread corruption. Even INEC itself has admitted to its abject failures to comply with the requisite transparency laws, mandating real-time electronic transmission of election results from the polling units to the public, instead opting to cloak the electronic results in darkness before emerging with a declared rather than proved winner who is presently incapable of being fully embraced by the world. The INEC action clearly constitutes negligence per se and electoral fraud, as it violated the very statutory provisions and guidelines that are designed to protect against the type of fraud caused by its failure to transmit the results in real time. The people of Nigeria are supposed to be the ones the statute is designed to protect. Instead, they have found themselves at the receiving end of the resulting gross injustice. NADECO maintains that the 2023 presidential election is an attempt to disenfranchise the Nigerian people through the four horsemen of democracy's doom: bribery, voter intimidation, insecurity, and vote rigging, all harnessed to skew the results of the 2023 presidential election. NADECO calls upon the people and the judiciary of Nigeria and international community to join hands in a concerted effort toward global condemnation and absolute rejection of the hasty, hollow, and illegitimate result declared by INEC as being contrary to the will of the people and the rule of law. Here are some positions that NADECO has taken. NADECO is gravely concerned about the irregularities, voter intimidation, violence, the breach of the National Electoral Act, and most importantly, the abrupt and hurried pronouncement of the dubious 2023 presidential election results. This, in our viewpoint, signals a whole disenfranchisement of voters in Africa's largest nation. NADECO's goals and singular mandate have always been to fight for the rule of law and democracy in Nigeria as Nigeria's watchdog of democracy. NADECO hereby, as a first step, formally severs its relationship with Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a former founding member of NADECO USA for his participation in the worst electoral fraud in Nigeria's recent history. NADECO and Tinubu fought Abacha as the military dictator who scuttled the will of the Nigerian people in 1993 June 12 elections. Ironically, exactly 30 years later, in 2023, NADECO is fighting the same species of dictatorship, but only this time a much more dangerous civilian dictatorship, a kleptocracy mostly perpetuated by one of those who fought Abacha then. NADECO will not look the other way simply because the fraud was perpetrated by one of its founding members. NADECO urges the Biden administration to withhold any recognition of the product of the flawed elections. NADECO further entreats the US Congress to introduce a resolution calling on the US administration not to recognize the product of the election. It is the product of a poisonous tree. NADECO calls on the international community to support the empaneling of a team of internationally acclaimed technical experts to examine, interrogate, and analyze the INEC servers and beavers and all the other equipments that were used to extract the original votes and information. NADECO implores the Nigerian people and the judiciary of Nigeria, acting in concert with the international community, to join together in a concerted effort toward global condemnation and absolute rejection of the hasty, hollow, and illegitimate results declared by INEC as being contrary to the will of the people and rule of law. NADECO demands that the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, must resign or be removed immediately. NADECO urgently requests that all countries worldwide, especially the United States, place an immediate visa ban upon Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. NADECO solemnly exhorts the US to not deviate from its democratic standards in Africa just because it fears competition with China and seeks to curry favor with illegitimate dictators who come to power through bribery, force, intimidation, and vote rigging. The US should come out and condemn the apparent corruption of the electoral process and impose an immediate visa ban on those suspected to have compromised the polls. NADECO demands that President Buhari and INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, should be held jointly and severally liable and accountable by the Nigerian courts and international community for what is currently happening across Nigeria in the days following the 2023 elections and for what would happen in the next few weeks or months should INEC's noxious banquet be forced down Nigeria's throats. These are the positions that NADECO would like to put out there for the international community. People in Nigeria are going to court, but we are appealing to the court of public opinion to see what happened in Nigeria. We're basically challenging the process, because the very law, Electoral Act that was put in place to guide against what happened was broken. So the Nigerian people and international community would like to know why that was the case. Because once that was broken, it means the protection that that Electoral Act provided for Nigerians was gone. Thank you.
Okay. So this is the first part of this video. Yo, I know this is the first time you are watching it.
Did they still talk?
There were 3 speakers. So I wanted us to break it, per the speaker on what they had to say.
I never heard about NADECO before. It's my first time hearing about them. But also just knowing that the current select from INEC was part of the founding members of this NADECO. And to fight corruption. Why is it that? Does it mean that at the time where Agbado was among the people that were founding members of this, founding leaders of this thing, you're fighting Abacha at that time and, and all those things, you had your own agenda? But it's interesting to know that they have a code of conduct and principle that not just because you are part of this and you are part of these illegalities that's happening in the country, in Nigeria, then they have to support. So it's interesting to know that they withdraw. They're distancing themselves from that, because integrity is very, very important. And also it's interesting to know that there's a community that is out there, international community, where people are members of this and they've always been interested in Nigeria as their own country and in the electoral process. It is really true that the mandate was stolen. I mean, we are aware of that. And I understand where it comes from about, the US taking a stand and talking because of their democracy and all that stuff. Yeah, I get that, I understand that. But I remember what our principal said, that, it's Nigerians' problem. So we'll solve it, So it's good to know that there are some of our people like this that exist in the diaspora and are vocal about what you're doing, and also vocal about their passion and integrity about the whole process and wanting to see a good and working Nigeria, which makes sense because they're Nigerians. The image is also on them. So I thought that was very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For me, my take.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oshomole was let's even welcome people that are around in the comment section. Kene welcome, Kene and Anthony Obiora. Anthony, where are you reaching us from? At least we know Kene is here with us in Canada. You are welcome, and for those who are just joining us as well, you are welcome. There was a question you were asking.
I said, why is it that I'm going to speak about Nigeria and then Africa in this context of my question, why is it that when sometimes activists, civil rights movement people, or people who are going against a bad government, why is it that in the event that the bad government is overthrown, or let's say the colonial masters are pushed out of the nations, when they take power, why do they become
who they fight?
A thorn in the flesh of their people?
Yeah.
The beasts, why do they become worse than the people who were fighting? Because this, and I remember when Professor Patu told me was talking, he spoke about something related to this on one of his interviews, on the lines of today what they are fighting in Nigeria in the 1993 elections, where Abiola's mandate was stolen. He was among the people, fighting for that mandate to be restored. And some of the people who are also perpetrating the crime in Nigeria today were part of that fight. But ironically, 30 years later, they are the ones perpetrating these same ills to Nigerians and even Far more worse. Oh my God, Kenny, you're calling from Germany?
No, Kenny.
Anthony from Germany?
Anthony,
oh my
good
God.
morning. No.
Good morning.
How did they say good morning for it? How did they greet for it?
They follow Lufthansa flights. Oh my God. Kilcomen, I've been at Kilcomen. Don't forget to.
Tell us whether we're correct.
German is Bengwe. Doesn't go beyond Frankfurt Airport layovers. Yes. So something I don't know. So to see that,
like Oshomole was Labour Union president,
yes,
and now he's a very.
And see what he is today.
Yeah.
You know. So to see that Agbado, aka the president-elect of INEC, was a founding member of the National Democratic Coalition, a board of coalition of Nigerian Democrats, under in 1993. Is the same man that has kept Lagos on a chokehold. Is the same man that is attempting to put Nigeria in a chokehold with his goons, Buhari and INEC, over 30 years later. What kind of irony is that, number one?
I think they've always been evil people, just disguised. You know,
just
they say
because it's the same thing that they say, because he has fought for Nigeria, he has saved Nigeria. These are the nonsense that they're talking about.
But it doesn't agree that they were alleging that Agbado is con person and all that stuff, right? So I think some people are not really.
Good morning. Where we go here Kilcomen from?
I don't know. Which language you did see? German, they write us all the time. They write about the body pass ticket.
Good morning.
I think you see those people's kids. Yeah. So I think that these people, they've always been evil people. You know.
Michael from Spain. Española. Hola, Madrid, Michael.
Forever, man. Welcome, Michael.
Welcome.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to have you here.
I think these people, they've always been evil people. They just disguise as a point of.
So they are cashivists from time.
So they are cashivists. They are cashivists.
They are the original cashivists. Because in this today's election, we've seen a lot of cashivists. Yes. So these are the grandmasters of cashivism. Oh, check me, my sister. See what? Yeah. So, Kene is saying the system in Africa has never been ours. It's that of the oppressor. Europe left and they were replaced by our own elite who were rubbing shoulders.
I absolutely agree. I agree. Those people will continue to drain the wealth out of Africa, so they put them there. And that's why this democracy, we have to claim back our
We have to fight for it by ourselves.
You are absolutely right, Kenan. That's why we have to fight for this thing. That's why I don't really care the international community and all those things. Those one don't concern me. When it has to do with claiming our mandates, the electoral process, whether they stand on their.
No, I think as the interview progress, and I'm totally on the same opinion as you and our principle that Nigeria is a full-blown country.
We have our brains and we have the act.
As the interview, as the conference keeps on going, I guess my take on why I see why they are talking about the international communities, it has to do with a treaty or whatever that Nigeria and America, alongside with the UN, all of them signed, and it's in relation to democracy in all their various countries. And if you sign a treaty or whatever in the US or even places like Canada, and it comes here, passes into law, then it's regarded as law that the people must follow. So Nigeria has signed something in the 90s related to democracy, keeping the peace of the people, ensuring that the people's mandate is what is being reflected. So if Nigeria is not only breaking, INEC and Nigeria, they're not only breaking the Electoral Act as amended in 2022, they are also breaking the treaty that we have signed in the late 90s.
So can we make it 1.5 speed?
So we can, we'll try to make it 1.5 speed. So let's continue with the interview together.
Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to call on a human rights activist and lawyer who observed the election in Nigeria. He just came back a couple of days ago. He is Emmanuel Ogebe. He's the coordinator of DEMO, Democratic Election Monitoring Observers. So he's going to come out here to address us. And then after that, we'll call some other person, at the end of which we'll take questions, please. Any questions you have, we'll try to make it brief. Mr. Emmanuel, please.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and thank you very much for coming out today. As he mentioned, I am with the Diaspora Election Monitoring Observatory, and we were participant observers in the election that just held in Nigeria, or should I clarify, the sham elections that just held in Nigeria. I want to point out that as a participant observer, I traveled to my home state to participate in the elections, and the Beavers technology refused to accredit me. So I experienced disenfranchisement right there and then. I know that at least half a dozen of my family members who voted in 2019 were unable to vote this time because of the cash crunch that occurred in the economy. So there were systematic efforts to disenfranchise and intimidate or strangle voters from being able to participate. But you can imagine my shock after monitoring in Benue, Plateau, and FCT and seeing thousands of Nigerians peacefully coming out to vote, to see that the results were not uploaded. Now, just to show you the extent of the mischief that occurred, the results for the National Assembly elections, which occurred at the same time, simultaneously with the presidential results, were able to be uploaded, but the presidential election results were not uploaded. And till this day, as we speak, the results have not even been completely uploaded. What is even shocking is that we have seen photographs of individuals, a woman in a bathroom, uploaded supposedly as results on INEC's IRF page till this day. How can you elect someone on the basis of the photograph of a woman in the bathroom? I want to quickly mention that a lot of the international observers who were there were as disenchanted as I was. There were 4 African presidents, former presidents, who were in Nigeria to observe the elections. There were over 144,000 observers deployed across the country, and they all were disenchanted by what they saw. I want to say that what happened in Nigeria was not election observation, but a crime watch. We watched a crime being perpetrated on a country of 200 million people with utter and complete impunity. I also want to say that President Jimmy Carter has been vindicated. He went and observed elections in Nigeria many years ago, and he was so upset at the impunity and the brazen theft of the election that he vowed never to go back to Nigeria again. And as that distinguished president is in hospice care, he stands vindicated because Nigeria has refused to learn its lesson. One of the American observers that I spoke with mentioned 2 things. One, he said that, well, at least this election was better than the 2003 election. And I said to him, if we're going back 20 years to compare, then we have not made any progress. And as NADECO has pointed out, this is even 30 years. The June 12 election, which was a travesty and a brazen rape of democracy or attempted democracy, is basically happening again. The sad point is that one of our co-travelers in the effort to restore democracy to Nigeria is now complicit in undermining democracy in Nigeria. In 1997, when I came on exile myself, after having been imprisoned by General Abacha, I had the privilege of meeting Senator Bola Tinubu in NADECO in exile in the UK. So we have been in the trenches fighting for democracy, and it is painful for us to see what is happening, that we're not making the progress that we think we should make. I want to wrap up my remarks by making a couple of points. That it is not that the elections in Nigeria were handled badly, but that the rigging in Nigeria was handled badly. There was no effort, there was no sincere effort to conduct an election in Nigeria. What happened was an insincere effort to conduct rigging. And that is why you will see cancellations. You will see unbelievable atrocities that were done. They didn't even make a genuine effort to hide the manipulation of the elections. I also want to make this second point, that it isn't that they failed to meet global standards, but that they failed to meet even their own standards. There is no way that INEC can say that the travesty that occurred was what they had promised time and time and again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that I join my voice to what NADECO has said today. The INEC chairman needs to resign for once again betraying the trust of the Nigerian people. The United States government should not dignify the travesty that has occurred by legitimizing illegitimate rulers. And most importantly, we must not fail the young Nigerians who came out in droves in the sun and put their fate in their own hands, that they wanted to rescue their country from bad leadership, only to be abused and misused in this manner. So I call upon the government of General Buhari, if he has any dignity and if he has any aspirations to any legacy whatsoever, to salvage Nigeria from the travesty that has occurred in the sham elections that held. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow, that's very powerful. Now I see why you wanted me to be further. It's very painful. I can also hear the pain in his voice. Like, how can, like, this is a
imprisoned by Abacha.
Imprisoned by Abacha. They've been fighting. Yes, they've been fighting for democracy in Nigeria. It's very, very painful. And then he came. He was also disenfranchised because the Beavers did not. So he could have voted. And his family members were also disenfranchised. Made me, yes, there's so many people that were really disenfranchised during this election.
Many people didn't have votes. INEC officials did not go to everywhere.
This is painful.
When they were saying IPOB in the east, IPOB in the east, did we hear any IPOB on election day? It's not INEC officials that did not reach the venue. Some people, 5,000 people out to vote somewhere in Anambra. They did not go with electoral materials. Are we talking about Akwa Ibom State and the rigging? Abi, is it wickedness of River States? It's too much. People that somebody that claimed to have been fighting for democracy over 30 years ago is now a co-leader in the kleptocratic government of Nigeria. For those of you who don't know the meaning of kleptocracy is when corrupt politicians enrich themselves secretly outside the rule of law through kickbacks, bribes, and special favors from lobbies and corporations. They are stealing, in fact, not even they are stolen the country. Oh God, Nigeria, our dear country. Michael is saying Nigerians are really in the pit of hell. Yes, but we will come out and we will see heaven. We will see sunshine at the end of the day. We're in the darkness together and we hold our hands together and we will all see the lights. We will achieve it. You know why? Because all of us were all involved. Our blood, our sweat. I mean, people died for this thing.
Yeah. People were injured, man. Remember that guy that they stabbed in Lagos?
Different things happened now. The woman and
and so many other people that were fighting for their lives, you know.
Our labor cannot be in vain, no matter how hard it is. All those nonsense politicians that say it take a miracle for Peter Obi to be one and money.
On the journey
to the miracle
will be verified.
The journey.
The miracle is going to be physical.
It's normal. Is it normal that there's a new leader? It's like a new king, a new dawn has come, and there's sadness, dryness, droughts in the land. No single form of happiness. The Igbo people cannot celebrate.
Because even my friends that are non-Nigerians, they were saying that they don't really support what INEC did.
What is going on?
We're hoping that, you know.
How can you come to, you think Nigerians are stupid? You know why INEC did this nonsense? Because many years ago, they'll tell us snake swallowed money, monkey thief money, termites ate the funds. They will tell Nigerians nonsense stories. And Nigerians will be enduring. It's like a woman in an abusive marriage. She will be enduring. Of course, one day something nonsense will happen and they will expect that we should still keep it. No, but Nigerians, we all watched this election together. We are all co-participators. We are all stakeholders in our nation. And nobody's going to steal our mandate and go scot-free. So we'll continue with the other parts of the interview and then go on from there.
Okay. Next will be NADECO General Counsel, Bruce.
Thank you very much. I'm Bruce Lavalier, and I asked, most of the people here in the audience know this, is why should we care about Nigeria? Why should the United States care about Nigeria? Why should the international community care about Nigeria? What would you say if I told you that there was a country that has arguably the world's oldest democracy with full participation of all of its members? What would you say if I told you that there is a country where a group of people has the oldest written constitution featuring guarantees for individual freedom and due process in the world? What would you say if I told you there was a country that featured full participation of women in its political system, both to vote and to govern? And they started doing this when Europe was in the Dark Ages, in the 800s. What would you say if I told you there was a country that is consistently in the top 10 of oil-producing nations since the 1980s? What would you say if I told you this same country has never been openly antagonistic to the United States, has never been an enemy of the United States, in fact, has never been an enemy of the West? What would you say if I told you this very same country has the greatest number of doctors living in the United States of America per capita than any other nation in the world? More than England, more than Russia, more than Germany. What would you say if I told you that 29% of the immigrants from this country over the age of 25 hold a graduate degree, when you compare that to 11% of the population of the United States over the age of 25 holding a graduate degree? This country has almost 3 times more people holding graduate degrees here in the United States, contributing to our economy and our well-being and our security. What would you say if I told you the same country has 45% of the involvement of its people, the immigrants that live here, the diaspora, in education services, and most are professors at top universities? What would you say if I told you the same country I'm talking about they're entering the medical fields and the technological fields at a rapidly expanding rate? They're increasing the U.S. economy. They are entrepreneurs. They are making America better, building tech companies in the United States to help the people back home. Would anybody be able to guess that country was in Africa? Would anybody be able to guess that country is Nigeria? Because it is. That's Nigeria. So when you say why Nigeria, it is almost a fool's question. One of the greatest nations that has all of these things going for it, and yet we constantly turn our back on Nigeria. Shouldn't we be favoring this nation? Shouldn't we be more attentive to this nation? Shouldn't we treat this nation, this giant of an entire continent, not of a region or an area, of an entire continent that stands out as a shining beacon, shouldn't we treat them as especially favored allies of the United States and indeed of the West? Especially given the insecurity in the world today with issues relating to extremism and energy shortages. Don't you think that this is a nation that the world should readily leap to the fore to protect, to ensure the well-being so it can continue on its pathway to greatness? Yeah, we're talking about Nigeria, the largest nation in Africa. It is the wealthiest nation in Africa, and yet it's the poorest country in the world. Nigeria now has more people living below the poverty line than any other nation in the world, which is a remarkable feat, given that there are 234 million people in Nigeria and approximately 1.4 billion people in India, the former dubious leader of world's poverty. How can we let that happen? How can we turn our back? How is that possible? Nigeria is also the site of the largest genocidal slaughter the world has seen since World War II. And yet nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to do anything about it. I am here very proud to be involved with NADECO because NADECO wants to do something about that. Something is very, very, very wrong. And it starts with the ability to choose your leaders in full, open, and fair elections. Nigeria has descended into a kleptocracy. And what that means is theft is the coin of the realm, not due process, not laws, not fundamental fairness, not the pursuit of happiness, not freedom, not family, not religion, not work, not prosperity, but who can steal the most first and go back and steal some more. And that is something that I believe the Nigerian people can solve on their own, but they're going to have the help. We cannot continue to turn our back on Nigeria. The international ramifications or aspects are very clear. Article 25 of the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, which was adopted in 1966, became law and active in 1976, was adopted by the United States in 1992 and by Nigeria, fully adopted, says that every citizen shall have the right and the opportunity, without any of the distinctions mentioned in Article 2 and without unreasonable restrictions, to take part in the conduct of public affairs directly or through freely chosen representatives, and to vote. This treaty signed by Nigeria and by the United States. And by the way, in the United States, when we sign a treaty, it becomes the law of the land with certain restrictions. So the United States has to comply with this. Nigeria has to comply with this international edict. It is as fundamental as any human right. And let me quote the UN, the Covenant 25 says, to vote and to be elected at genuine periodic elections, which shall be by universal and equal suffrage and shall be held by secret ballot, guaranteeing the free expression of the will of the electors. That's why this is important. We have a violation of international law that rises to a violation of human rights. And we all know the human rights violations that follow. And it's by a nation that we should hold in special favor, that we should hold more closely, that we should take better care of. The fact of the matter is that what was supposed to happen, and again, we are not partisan, NADECO is not partisan, but it appears as though the process, and that's what nations, that's what a democracy is. That's the greatness of America, is the process. It's not the people, it's the process. It's not the result, it's the process. How our government works, how our elections work. And the process of this election in the 2023 Nigerian presidential elections appears to be fundamentally flawed. We believe, NADECO believes, that the February 25 to 26, 2023 election, the results, the hasty announcement of the results are fundamentally at odds with the Nigerian election laws. And as Dr. Ogebi said very clearly, they didn't just violate rules, they violated their own laws. INEC glorified their efforts to make this the cleanest, the purest, the most transparent and fair election in Nigerian history, in African history. And yet they violated every single fundamental tenet in every single law. They instituted the bimodal voter accreditation system. You've heard about that, the BVAS. All that is, make no mistake about it, there's a lot on the internet that seems to, people want to believe that when you voted with the BVAS, that recorded your vote and your vote was sent somewhere and it went to a server and it was tabulated and somehow Tinubu or the APC were able to hijack that electronic signal. That's not what happened. It was more pernicious than that. It was more old-fashioned than that. All the BVAS does was gave you two modes of identification, both your card, you put your voting card, your PVC in, and it also did your fingerprint and face identification. But it failed. And the reason BVAS was important is so that people couldn't vote more than once. Vote early, vote often. The reason it's important is so people could not vote that had fake cards. And on the issue of the PVC cards, INEC announced, this is INEC themselves said that there were 87.2 million PVC cards collected. That was out of 93 million registered voters. So approximately 6 million people were registered. They just didn't bother to get their voting card. No one knows why. It just happens. But what's fascinating is, if you consider it true that 87.2 million people had PVC voting cards and could have voted, the declared winner of this election received 8.7 million votes. Now, out of 87 million, the math's not real hard. That means that Mr. Tinubu got 10% of the vote. He will be ruling the wealthiest economy in Africa with a mandate of 10% of the population. That's extraordinary. Something is seriously wrong. Something is seriously wrong. Additionally, we believe that what has to happen and why we're here today, and NADECO is leading the charge, we believe that INEC has to prove itself it has to prove the results it announced were true and were real. There are 176,600 polling stations. That's a lot of polling stations. INEC rules required each polling station to collect the votes, count the votes, and they do it the old-fashioned way. They get the paper votes, they count them, they put them in stacks for each of the primary candidates. They were to gather those results, publish the local results, and then transmit the results, and ultimately they would go to Abuja and be certified. Well, what happened was they published some of the results early on, and then they took them down. And so what they have is something that looks a little bit like this, scribbling, when it used to look like this, where it was written. Someone didn't like the results. That's what appears to have happened. Dr. Ogebe observed it happening. So what we have is vote rigging, vote buying, and bribery. So despite INEC's efforts, nothing good happened. And we're back to the same old thing, the same old efforts. So what do we do? What do we do in the United States? What do we do as members of the diaspora? What do we do as international attorneys or international law folks? What do we do to ensure democracy can thrive? That the promise of 1960 can come true again, hopefully. Well, we are asking that INEC throw open the curtains and let the full light of truth come in to prove the transparency and the veracity of the results they've announced. If the results are true, they should be able to prove it. It is absolutely not extraordinary to ask them to prove it. Show me your math. We've all gone to school. Show me your math. You've got a number. Show me how you got to that number.
Yeah, I think we'll end here for this one. So I think just re-echoing what the other people have said, I guess the treaty part was interesting. Yeah, I guess the treaty part was very, very interesting to know that there was something signed, which I feel like sometimes some of our leaders just sign things they don't remember.
It's the same way they were signing the peace treaty or whatever now with them, Peter Obi and the one that Tinubu didn't come twice for or something. And they will have peaceful elections and whatever. Like, they don't care. Well, not Peter Obi doesn't. The current political class, except Peter Obi, of course, they don't care. It's ridiculous.
Very, very.
The audacity.
I don't think they respect, they've always disrespected the process and disregarded Nigerians and their opinions. And there's always been this impunity of our leaders because they don't think they should be held accountable. And when you want to hold them accountable, they come up to try to suppress your voice and say you are rude.
You don't have experience.
You don't have experience, like what they're trying to do to GRV. Now, ageism. So they bring the idea of ageism. You don't have experience. Of course, you don't have experience with stealing, but you have experience of doing public service and public work, right? You have experience of doing public service and public work. And I think that in the creating of a new and working Nigeria, we're going through the process together. So for some people, it's been very underwhelming, but like I always say, you just have to go and listen and watch Peter Obi's videos. And it's like motivation to keep reassuring yourself that this is not the first time that this man is going to walk through the tunnel, but it's on a bigger scale, it's on a broader scale. And you have to be with him to the finish line. You have to be with him to the finish line.
Because you to be calm.
The more of us, there are so many people that are on the side of due process.
Yes.
So many people that are on the side of due process. So, on a lighter note, but I thought that was interesting to have the NADECO stuff going on there and then why the US should care and all that stuff. That's interesting. But anyways, let's go to the streets of Twitter. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah, so today Peter Obi was in Lagos now. The man is everywhere anyways. So currently don't know where he is now. Last we checked on AY Live Show, he was in Lagos. Who knows where it could be now?
Which was this
So
evening.
people of Jos are very, very happy. Obviously, he's somewhere there.
Yeah.
People of Jos are very, very happy to see him. And he ended up being in Lagos tonight.
Yeah, I think we're on if you watch the AY Live Show a few hours ago, if you have not watched it, you should go to AY Comedian YouTube channel and go and watch it. It was very
with GRV.
It was very interesting and very insightful. I guess this was their behind the scene.
And Middle East, not Dubai, not Johannesburg, but Lagos. And he will do it. Otherwise, he has a lot of questions to do from where he's coming. What is he going to tell the MIT alumni that he failed? That is you can't do that. I know what happened to me. I couldn't explain it to anybody that failed, and I made a success of it. So I wish him all the best, and I know people in Lagos will be with him and vote him, and I will back him up with our prayers. Thank you. Hello, please.
78.
I feel like Lagosians right now, Lagos is a center of the excellence. No, Lagos is not an excellent place. Now you have a young, vibrant leader with track verifiable Lagos. Okay, Obi is everywhere.
Obi na MTN, but
Obi
better
na
than
MTN.
MTN. No MTN, they say everywhere you go. Obi na the real MTN.
Like Lagos now, I feel like Lagos should be that place where everybody should have it on their bucket list all over the world to visit for the festivals, for the entertainment, for like, you know how they're talking about the yachting and the sailing.
The waterways, everything.
You know, for seeing different communities and historical.
For the food.
For the food, for the culture, for the vibrancy, for like.
For the multiculturalism.
Like Lagos should just be that state that should be on everybody's bucket list all over the world before they die to visit.
Yeah.
And here is the Labour Party candidate, GROV himself, running for this office. So if you're in Lagos, don't fool yourself. Better go and vote for GROV.
Don't be caught up with this nonsense, tribal, ethnic, religious nonsense things that they are trying to bring up.
Like we've said on this channel in the past, you are a slave. I think we've done something about. We did something in the past. I think like 2 years ago about tribalism.
Well, we don't do plenty things. People like say they foresee the future elections.
I don't know, but that's probably 2020 or 2021. It's about tribalism.
Yeah,
at the bottom. No, see it.
Yeah, we did this video on tribalism where we explained
everything.
Detail.
And what's happening right now in Nigeria is under economic tribalism. So you have political tribalism. Political tribalism, which is what they are doing now, especially in that Lagos. You people are very quick to enjoy
Dirty December.
Apart from that, Bella and Nigeria, where people are doing, they see the different people where they marry now. Why is this and that? Why you allow politicians to use you as a slave? Nigeria, like, as our diverse, there should be strength in our diversity. Don't fall prey to that whole victim of tribalism. Vote for freedom, both mama, papa, pikin on that day.
The suffering does not know tribe, does not know religion, does not know age.
And just you have to think of yourself that when you go and cast your vote, ask yourself, who do I want to serve me? Who will serve the interest and well-being of the general Lagos? Who loves Lagos? Who has a track record of not just saying it when it's time for election, by jumping from church to church, they bend that they attend different parties.
They sow cement.
They
plaster cement. You know their current governor is not a bricklayer. He's also a church greeter. He never played anybody here yet. He will soon play somebody.
It's like in a relationship with somebody, consistently the person has been saying that they are your boyfriend or they are your husband, or they are your wife or something, they're your partner, and they never perform. Whether in the bedroom, whether financially, whether emotionally, they are never responsible.
Once in 4 years, they will come and talk.
Once in 4 years, they will name. That's when they will not come and be.
They will not be rushing.
Love bombing. So what the current governor of the state, who is a slave to the corn owner, is doing right now is love bombing, lust bombing, lust bombing. Look for a leader that is consistent.
People here today that they are releasing people that they locked up since October 2020.
What about those cars that they impounded? Remember that boy and the man and his
mother and all of that?
Yeah. Don't look for people that will treat you like a piece of
Nigerians don't reward bad behavior.
Yeah, you don't join select church now.
It be church greeter now, different things.
You can imagine. So you have to think of yourself. Do I want to? It's like a relationship. Do I want this person to be the face of Lagos, to represent Lagos, or really represent the interest of Lagos? Where you pay taxes. Is he a true Lagosian? That's what GROV is. So you have to think like that. Don't be following the crowd.
Why people will be begging normal you?
It's not begging. I don't think it's begging. I think it's more of the fact that
speaking to their conscience.
Yes, and people don't understand. There's a lot of crowd mentality with so many human beings. I don't think it's even unique to Nigeria. I think because everybody get to and make like head mentality, make they follow.
The same way they say somebody that has more chances to win as opposed to voting for who you want to govern you and serve.
Yeah. So look for who will serve you, who will serve the interest, where you pay the taxes. You want to be paying taxes to drug.
Agberoism, Togri.
Look at the young guys that JRF said he's going to meet that are just victims of this whole job and failed governance. They don't want to be on the street. They want to be employed. But then they have to eat. Who is going to look at their faces? You know? And this man has a track record of doing so many things. He's an architect. He has experience in the MIT where he did some projects with the government.
New Orleans, government of China. Even Lagos, they've joined to be cleaning Lagos up.
Yes, he joined to be cleaning
He has done that not too young to run.
He has also protested
to the Senate.
To the Senate that time when he was running for office.
He's won 4 court cases already.
So another thing that Nigerians you have to understand that you have to learn how to do research for yourself.
Yes.
Don't be on the sideline when it has to do with something that concerns your well-being and who rules you in your country.
It affects you.
It affects you. Don't think that every time why noisy. Let that era be noisy come up for your mouth by choosing the right person. Let's continue.
It's easy. It's easy. It can be done. Everybody else is doing it. This hospital will be unjust again.
You open Nana. Almost for the clap People be happy. Whoa! That is obedience, man.
You cannot fake this love.
Yeah, our honorable photographer Esther said they shared the grace, but they refused to because they heard Obi was around. Wow.
You cannot fake this love. It's massive.
Plateau State is obedient to go out.
Not a piaka our joy. This that the Nigerians want to be free. We want to let loose. What the heck, man? Okay, we have to watch this together because it's very educative. This concerns the people of Lagos too. So let's watch it.
The shock and the disgust on my face having watched that video. It's interesting he says this tribal bigots. I was like, are you for real? Are you being serious? The truth is that why is GRV, Gbadebo Revival, under the radar or under such scrutiny? Because his mom is from Igbo, or is Igbo, and from the Igbo part of Nigeria, eastern part of Nigeria. And so people have started bringing up his records and trying to prove his Nigerianness, such that the hashtag Lagos Island Boy had said to trend to show that he's actually from Lagos Island, from the Revival family of Lagos Island. Thankfully, earlier, Dr. Batia talked about tracing his ancestry down 400 years. Okay, it's quite a shame that we allow people like this who feel bold enough not to even cover or hide their faces or even their voices, get a voice, these guys are to change their voices. They're bold enough to speak out this way. You know why? Because the people who spoke out in the past, nothing has been done. What has happened to the man from Surulere who said that anyone who is voting for another party was going to be sent out? What happened to the Oba of Lagos when he said that they were going? These things have been happening for a long time, and it's quite unfortunate. I hope Nigerians will be sensible and wise enough not to vote along ethnic lines and resist any kind of division ethnically.
Well said. Well said, Ayo.
In this same country,
yes,
Umaru Altine, a cattle trader from Sokoto, was the first mayor of Enugu Municipal Council. And from 1952 to 58, in that same Enugu, there was a man called Babasule. Babasule was also from the north. He was the leader of the stranger movement of Enugu in Ibadan. Bagudu, who later became Waziri Nupe, was a member of the Ibadan Municipal Council.
Thank you, Dr.
Ajeromi Falonu Badagry was represented in the Western House of Assembly in 1958 by Ebube Dike. The man's name was Ebube Dike. Now, look at many years later, right here in Lagos, we're playing the politics of ethnicity. And by the way, there is no such thing as his mother had him out of wedlock.
No.
There are no illegitimate children in Africa. Every child has a father and a mother. No child in Africa is illegitimate.
It's when people can't talk about development, they go to ethnicity. That's just it. Please don't fall for it. Cheap tactics.
Thank you.
The people that are shouting, where are they for themselves? Where are they from?
Thank you all for your great analysis as always.
Arise, Dr. Abati, thank you for this issue. Arise. Make a clap for now. You people will continue to
write. The news of the future generation. Dr. Abati, you have to see there this Arise to be giving us past affairs. Because yes, Dr. Abati just
they dish. They tell us what was happening in Enugu and other states.
They vomit everything. I say, don't be a slave. And it's a slave for politicians.
Make we drop the link just in case if anybody wants to come.
Oh yeah, that's true. Drop the link
because that's all we could just stay. They talk about Twitter.
Join the conversation. Let us what you think. How he's doing you.
How have you been faring the last 15 days of the president selects nonsense news that they used to open mash for us?
Yeah, are you hopeful?
Better if you're not hopeful. Not come this level. Joking.
So then, okay, this is another candidate.
This is very long. It's not a candidate.
Hello, Obedience. We've done a couple of videos, but this particular one is centered around how we protect our mandates, especially given what has happened in the past election. We don't know if INEC is going to do what they're supposed to do, but let's prepare for the worst. Let's prepare for the eventuality. So what I say to you is, please note these 4 things. Number 1, make sure you have a copy, if you're an agent, of our forms, our result sheet from EC8A. This is important. This is what we're going to use to validate our claim. And of course, if we decide to go to court for any reason, there's a clear evidence to that fact. And number 2, make sure you're able to snap this result sheet and send through WhatsApp to the groups that may be created in different places, but still not as the best we can have. Number 3, leverage the various apps that have been deployed. For instance, the agents have what we call Poll Watch. There could be other apps. Leverage this app so that you're able to record every incident, especially in uploading the result, whether by picture or by video. But finally, there's this part that I'm very excited by, which is how we can actually get a summary video at every polling unit. If you are an agent, or in fact, the voters, make sure that the presiding officer is able to record a 1-minute video saying, for instance, I am Mr. So person. I'm the presiding officer for this particular polling unit. And so today, registered voters, number of this. The accredited, this. Number of voters, this. And this is the breakdown. LP, this. APC, this. PDP, this. NMPP, SDP. The key ones, mention them. And that this video is not done under duress. This is important so that even if for whatever reason the result is not uploaded, there's a clear evidence of what has transpired. This is what can now be sent through emails that will be provided on the screen. Dear Obedience, do this for all of us. Make sure we do the necessary things to keep our mandate secured. It's important we protect this mandate. We know we will win in many states, but the only way we can protect the win is that we're able to secure the trail. God bless you.
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing. I think one thing I see about the obedient movement is that we always learn. Everything is a learning, and like you listen, learn, you go. So that experience that happened for the presidential election, right, has prepared them differently now.
Yeah.
So they never strike twice. As
the way Peter, when Dati Baba may say, we deploy technologies.
You don't understand.
When we deploy technologies.
You don't understand.
I didn't know
You don't understand.
what our PhD holding VP was talking about. Somebody say, you see Dati Baba may, we don't know what he's doing now. He's securing the mandate behind the scene. All fingers lead to what? Labour Party. I'm not going to play the voice of this because I don't know what's going on here. But what is your finger for?
What is
your finger for a beg? What is your Hey. So Britain. Exactly. If your finger is not for Labour Party, that's a waste of finger. That's a waste of finger. Vote for Labour Party.
So keep moving.
Let's keep scrolling to see what else is going on.
So these are our own.
This is for Delta State. We are daughters of Delta State, and we are tired of Okowa and the PDP.
Yep. Want to give Labour Party a chance.
Yes.
Now.
So let's hear what Ken Pella.
One Pella to peddle us out.
Yeah. Let's see what Ken Pella has to say for the good people of Delta State. What's in Delta State? Is it the big heart
with love?
The big hearts. Yes.
Delta State, the big heart, one group, one love, one vision. We are one.
They have cracked the voice of Delta State.
Oh, and PDP, they finished Delta State.
Mine is not a political ambition, but a sovereign mandate. I have watched the pain and suffering around me caused by poverty, unemployment, insecurities, lack of infrastructure, leading to this great and lucrative state becoming one of the most impoverished states in Nigeria. The South-South region has long been invaded and left indigent by leaders who lacked vision and apathy. The South-South is not impoverished for lack of human, natural, or mineral resources, but for lack of good governance and leadership. It is my strong belief that history will never forgive us if we choose to do nothing and continue business as usual. It is therefore on this premise and conviction that I present myself as an agent of change to become a visionary of that change. Change, not for the sake of change, but change to fulfill my God-given mandate of delivering a righteous, prosperous, and harmonious Delta.
Across harmonious.
This is our Kempela. He like righteousness and harmony.
According to Kempela, I say, I say, righteousness is doing the right thing when he talks about righteousness. Harmonious, so you'll be able to live in. Obviously, if you are doing the right thing, there will be joy because worry get one flavor.
You guys, our worry is not the worry. Worry don't break. Worry don't crack. Okowa. Oh, Asabato, Worry Road. New Road. But there's checkpoints everywhere. People are suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering.
Yeah. It's terrible.
So if you're a Delta,
please,
you have PVC.
Bella.
Labour Party all the way. We don't need no APC. We don't need no PDP, no nonsense.
We want to labor now.
We want to labor
with father, mother, and children.
Every time there's oil in Nigeria, there's oil in Nigeria. The places that have the oil in Nigeria, we're not seeing it reflected on
they're having environmental pollution and crisis.
We're not seeing it reflected on the people.
For where, like, even Gori said, like, it's gone.
The ports, nothing is working now. People was in there, that's also hotel everybody they built. Why? To go and do grow. That's why everybody's pregnant and born children. That's even another.
So we just want a Delta that is working for the good roads, for cleaning of all those polluted rivers and all that, for people to start their own businesses again, whether it's in fishery. That Ports Authority too, that's another big NPA is messed up now.
Yeah.
NPA
and I think we'll join people will cause all this nonsense.
Yeah.
Are we going to reward bad behavior in Delta states? Why? Obedience. Now some people are going to lie to campaign on the name of obedience. Anyways,
pleasurizing the identity.
Pleasurizing. If they do it own organic love, enter a car, come out for the roof of the car, they move. Now everybody is doing copy. If it's not in you, it's not in you.
So Delta States, please, Kempela is the one running for this office, and we believe that he's going to do well. So vote Mama, Papa, Pikin in Delta State across. Not even once you just see Papa, Mama, Pikin, just the thumb print. Everywhere Papa, Mama, Pikin, thumb for state senate, for a state house of regs, just they go. They thumb from top to bottom. Okay, this is GRV. It's really important that he wins this Lagos State too.
Very, very important.
Architects won't build.
Oh,
architect one
see the
building.
yacht now. Be with having a yacht.
Yacht. They call it yacht.
A yacht. Yes, they call
Mr. Baramosi call it yacht. Yacht or something. I don't know.
Maybe she will get it. I don't know yacht in English name.
Okay, Peter Obi say I've just. Oh, this was when he arrived. Just see people. See photos now. Oh, more Esther Momo pen drops. God, just the shine. Just is obedient to Papa, Mama, and Pikin. Make sure you make yourself, make it known, man.
Your president select. How many campaign he don't do for
he
him?
Get waist, he get leg.
Nonsense.
He get leg. For the airport. Excellent. Joyful sound, man.
INEC cannot go better for now. You still for our mandates. When Nigeria is supposed to don't boom by now finish.
We want to gather everything. I think what's going to happen is that by the time Labour everything come together, the winning on Saturday, everything come together, it will make sense.
Yes, as you're saying, it's up on my wish list. 6% JRV wins Lagos. Wickedness Stru loses Rivers. Dr. Alex Oti, Abia people, you are another lucky ones. Yes. Okowa, nonsense. We lose to Kempela. Dr. Dakum of Plateau State for the people. And Peter Obi crowns it by reclaiming our mandate.
That's so
we're going to check them.
That's so. Checklist. Check it bucket list.
Bucket list.
It's gonna be sweet, man.
It's gonna be lit.
One of our favorite Nollywood. Legendary Hilda. We love you.
Now the chairperson of
Rivers State. Well deserved. This woman is very hardworking. She's running for candidate for Labour State House constituency. Yes.
I forgot the name of her constituency. But she's running.
She's running.
State.
Yeah, River State. Labour Party top to bottom.
Women of River State came out to protest today for INEC to give them their mandates. Yeah. You know, so please support Hilda Dokubo and support Tare. Tare that is going to sit Desmond Idiot. Desmond Idiot is Cyril Neri. Yes.
Yeah. Labor, just labor.
But
Hilda Dokubo has really been working so hard on ground. Working very hard on ground.
Working really, really hard on ground. Really, yeah. I saw this tweet today that really touched me. This person said, today students in the UK were asked to name a good leader. Guess what? They mentioned the name of Peter Obi, my principal. INEC can steal a man's mandate, but cannot steal it from our hands.
Yeah.
If I've forgotten what this game is called, Menti, yeah. So if you've ever played it in university, everyone logs into the app and everybody writes names all at the same time. Depending on how many people write a name, that's how it will populate. But you can see, among all the leaders, Peter Obi is the one at the center.
Because it would have
shown you that many people for that class
don't type Peter
Obi name.
For him to be at the center.
Don't type Peter Obi's name is bigger than Obama's name. Can you both see? Yes, that's also true. You can't fake it. You cannot fake it. It's natural.
They pass it the rough. The rough is natural.
It's very natural. You can't fake it. It's not in you. It's not in you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, you have to also listen to Atelu Peter side. I think this is for 7 minutes. It was a very, very good video. So let's listen to it together.
Officials signed the result sheet that no party agent signed. If people really falsified, it's a criminal offense. We're talking about forgery and fraud. So they should not go scot-free. And please, it's possible even that the candidate is not involved. But fraud is fraud. It doesn't matter whether if your agent carried out fraud, even you, the candidate, should say, I reject this.
That's a very good point. And I'm going to ask you what your reaction is to those who argue that in the Nigerian context, irregularities at elections are a fairly normal practice, but what really is the scale of the irregularities and what impact they might have on the outcome is the issue here.
Yes, okay, let's look at the scale. I've shown you single polling unit in Imo, 600 votes, I'm doubting. I've shown you Rivers, single polling unit, 200 and something votes, and in Lagos the same. Let's even imagine that the average was only 10 votes per polling unit nationwide. 175,000 polling units times 10 is 1.75 million votes. So if it was 1.7, if it was only an average of 10 fake votes that were transferred from left to right, it changes the result, because add 1.75 million to Labour, deduct 1.75 million from APC, immediately Labour has the highest number of votes. So it's not true that the magnitude of what you're looking for is something humongous. If it's an average of only 10 votes on average per polling unit, it changes the whole result. This election was a three-horse race. It's even possible that PDP, after you make those adjustments, got the highest number of votes. I don't know. What I'm saying is that I don't know, and I see results that are a blind man can tell that the seats were tampered with. It probably explains why PDP and Labour Party walked out. Now, please, everybody should go and do the homework. Go and look at the result sheets. They're available.
So I mean, what sort of accountability should there be for what you believe happened during those elections? I mean, do you agree with those who say that in view of everything, from the failure of IREV and Beavers to all the other issues that clearly marred that presidential election, the chairman of INEC should resign?
You'll be surprised. I don't think so, because the way I understand INEC, the chairman of INEC is in Abuja. I've given you examples from Imo, from Port Harcourt. If there was fraud carried out in Port Harcourt in Rivers State, and the state rec from INEC brings those results to Abuja and insists these are the correct results, to an extent, the INEC chairman's hands are tied, because he was not even there. The parties are saying this is falsified. The INEC official in charge is saying, no, everything is okay. If it's a case of fraud, you have to go to court to prove fraud, because fraud is about criminality. If it's about forgery, you need to go to court. You need investigation. The INEC chairman in Abuja cannot make himself the investigator, the judge, the jury, and overrule River State results. So I can understand if he's telling the parties, please go to court. Take this evidence and put it before the judges. Let the judges look at it and tell us what the whole world can view from INEC portal, that there was no distortion of results. Let the judges look at the result from Imo State, signed only by one INEC official, not signed by any political party agent, and say it's okay. See, people have to know that these things are now available publicly.
So would you, Mr. Peterside, support those from the Labour Party and the PDP who feel aggrieved enough to take to the streets in protest?
My personal view is that it's premature. I would always advocate in a society, I'm a disciplined person, go through all the processes. I don't play God. Take this evidence, which I said in some cases, even a blind man can see. He can feel the tipex with his fingers. Take it before the courts. Let the judges look at it and tell us it does not matter. At that point, if you want to go to the street, perhaps I'll follow you and join you on the street. But not now. Give people a chance to do their work. It doesn't matter how much you distrust them. Let them look at this evidence which the whole world is seeing. We have become the laughing stock. A football match was played, Man United got 7, Liverpool got 0. One of the jokes in Lagos, somebody changes the result of...
No, sir. I think it's Liverpool that got 7. Man United got 0.
0, puts 10, and says INEC has changed the result. It's from these result sheets.
Right.
That's the laughing stock.
So, I mean, let me ask you this. We're almost out of time here, but you're a big wig. I mean, you're the founder of a bank. You're a founder of a major sort of foundation. You move around in prominent circles, and some of your colleagues in those higher circles have rushed out to congratulate the president-elect Bola Tinubu. What do you have to say about that? I imagine you haven't gone out to congratulate him.
No, each unto his own. Look, if they go through this process and the judges convince us everything was done correctly and we add up the numbers, whoever is the winner will congratulate the person. But for now, it's premature. I mean, when I can see with my own eyes what INEC has uploaded, part of what they've uploaded is an insult on anybody's intelligence. I think it's premature. They just, people who are rushing to congratulate probably have not taken the trouble to even look at the available information or the evidence. INEC is each unto his own.
Well, Mr. Peter said we're literally almost out of time. After all the complicated politics and tensions following the presidential election and all the issues around alleged manipulation, fraud, and disenfranchisement, what are your expectations for the governorship elections on Saturday? Briefly.
It's a chance for the INEC chairman and others to redeem themselves. He should insist everybody should upload the results immediately after voting. We cannot have one or two states hold back the results and start tampering endlessly, claiming they could not transmit the results. So I mean, INEC cannot fail twice. So first time you can give them, you can say, okay, they were trying out new systems. You can't repeat the same mistake now, for goodness sake.
On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed.
I want to thank Kelvin.
I like this interview. This guy, he takes.
I like his voice. On that note, I want to thank
We like listening to his interview because of the way he presses on his
Rise Abuja.
And he asks the question, like he will press. You're not getting YouTube now, 1.5 speed.
But yeah, that's what's happening on the Twitterverse.
It's cool down right there.
Yeah, so Nigerians say leader obey. What else is happening on the Twitterverse? For Nigeria.
Nigerians, oh my God, the country makes anything out of nothing. This one, we have to say this one. I thought you were going to read it first.
Oh, Mr. Peter Obi said, when I finish my campaign, I'm taking a helicopter to Ibaka Deep Seaport to see what's up. We'll solve it. This is him inspecting Ibaka Seaport as promised. This is what we need. Talk and do. Peter Obi is coming.
This is Akwa Ibom State.
Want to go around one more time, sir? Can you go around one more time? We can return.
That when they take stock.
To build this seaport was taken about
Sorry, we'll have to go back.
To build this seaport was taken about 1983. It's now 40 years. It shows how the country is not focused to the future. Because the facility I was able to inspect today, if developed, will go a long way in contributing in building the production-led Nigeria we envisage, because it will be export. Everything is about export. That's why you're going to turn around this country when we manufacture for export. That facility, look at it, gas, just a few kilometers away. that you can just develop the entire place to be a petrochemical hub with other manufacturing industries and everything, focus for export. By the time you combine it with manufacturing around the whole of Akwa Ibom,
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it go better. I'd like to thank. Oh, this is the endorsement. This was when he was endorsing. Yeah, I'd like to play this one.
the Labour candidate in Lagos remains the best candidate. Is through and thorough negotiation from a family that everybody is well known. His educational background, his age, everything is not in question. And he has the right age and the right energy. And I support him 100%.
However, they're saying that if you're going to, govern a diverse, cosmopolitan city like Lagos, you would need more than an MIT certificate. What do you have to say to that?
Which experience? When you talk about experience, my sister, when I was campaigning to be governor of Anambra State, I've never worked in government. I've never had anything to do with government. I was faced with the same thing. I was his age. I started campaigning in 2003. 2001, I was just 39. By the time that the election took place, I was 41, 42. So I was at that age. And it was the same thing. People were saying, hey, who is he? He has never worked in government before. He has not done this before. The only experience they can claim is the same experience of corruption, experience of stealing, experience of doing the wrong thing. In fact, at times it's good to bring somebody who doesn't have that experience so he can clean up the mess. I came in without that experience, and when they wanted to teach me the experience, I told them they are wrong. I recall telling my people to ask me, why will government of Anambra State have a lodge in Abuja? They said, because every state have it. I said, well, we can't. The government doesn't live in Abuja, so shut it down. Why would this one happen? Why is the government going to have 18 guest houses? They said, because that's the government, because you have guests. These are things we shut down and made us have the money to do the work. So the experience they have is the experience I'm trying to remove. That's the structure that I'm telling you about. What you saw is challenging now is the structure that we are saying we have no structure, we have no structure. That's the experience. As far as I'm concerned, he's at the right age, the right energy, the right educational background, whatever there is, everything is life.
So, yeah, I think this was when he was endorsing GRB. I don't think there's so many other things happening, but I imagine that by
the election time, Saturday.
Yeah, by Saturday it's gonna be hot. Yeah, by Saturday it's gonna be hot. So please tell your family members, those of you that are in Nigeria, Labour Party from top to bottom, from top, mama, papa, pikin. That's what's on the Labour Party. That's what's on the ballot paper. Logo. In case you don't see the LP, at least you will see mama, papa,
you see human beings.
You see human beings. So vote for human beings, vote for living things. Give Labour Party a chance because they have a leader. You can mute it. They have a leader that is there. We have people, Nigerians are ready to hold their leaders accountable. You don't want to see your life or that of your generation wasted for another 4 years. So don't be a tool for tribalism. Don't be a tool for religiosity,
bureaucracy, foolishness,
or to help in kleptocracy. Right? Aren't you ashamed of stealing? Aren't you tired? So just think about it. Labour Party from top to bottom, mama, papa, pikin, is just common sense.
Yeah, and as Peter B has said, in places where we don't have Labour Party, candidates, or there are more candidates that are competent, vote for all those ones.
Yeah.
You to do your own research. Don't go and do blind followership. Do your own research as well. But if you see these states I'm talking about here, Lagos State and Delta State, it's obedience. Then Abia states, Plateau states, obedience.
Yeah.
Those ones we know about.
Yep. And for the state senate and all that, LP all the way. All the way. Okay. If you've watched up until this time, we thank you. If you're going to be watching later on, thank you as well. Make sure those of you in Nigeria stay safe and protect your votes. Charge your phone, carry power bank. Just in case there's copyright. Yeah, so come out in masses and support.
Defend your mandate. Take those pictures. Don't let anybody intimidate you.
No. Don't allow anybody intimidate you. Take your mandate. Stay positive. Stay hopeful. Look at even children. They know that they want Labour Party. Even kids know. So your vote is not just for yourself.
He keeps on going, even on the several attempts made on his life.
Yes, I think that was a few days ago.
It's still going, yeah.
So all the way, Lagosians, you will do right by yourself because. If una like, una go put come back, na suffer go continue on our life because when they glorify traffic, see somebody that wants to help people your waterways and has experience doing
and everything is talking about all create employment.
Oh, exactly.
Different streams of employment.
And he also I forgot to say, he also cares about mothers, women,
differently abled people, disabled people, essentially.
Yeah, he cares about them, talking about making at minimum 35% of women in his government. That's GROV. So he cares about everyone. He understands the plight of the people. Talking about the riverine area and how there should be hospitals there and some form of transportation. How can people's children be getting kidnapped on their way to school just because they don't have access to the waterway or water?
10 children killed and kidnapped.
So please, it's important that you consider it. And don't be foolish enough to say, you know, be Yoruba and be talking like a fool. Don't be
see, Nigerians, I beg, since when all of a sudden it's a mother state that is the child state of origin? All of a sudden, it's no longer children belong to the man. All of a sudden, when it comes to election and good thing now, my mama is an Igbo. All of you are really, really them crazy. In the voice of my vice president's incoming, them crazy.
So you should very much vote for Labour Party, top to bottom.
Our Lagos,
top to bottom. Don't be a swagger.
Lagosians, don't you want this to be the face of the state?
Exactly. You don't want a young, vibrant person, that can understand. Don't be a mugo. The same thing we are going for the Delta States because we were from Delta States.
They no go Kempela.
Oga, do well,
Kempela don't they talk now?
Yeah.
So it's good.
Do well,
Kempela.
This Kempela and Delta, so. Yeah. You know, go for
This is the deputy
governor candidate. Yeah, this is nice.
Abure in the background. Yes. So Kempela wants a harmonious
and better
Delta state.
Like that. It's like me when they give you worry.
Yes, so this is it for the people of
Delta
State. Is kinetically obedient.
Kinetically, be pellified, oh. Be pellified, okay? Okay, good. So, yeah. Delta states. So you have to do the right thing, okay? Give Labour Party a chance. Don't be under the umbrella of doom. The rain has been beating us and they've destroyed everything in Delta states. You know, let it come back to harmony and righteousness.
This was the River State moment.
Wow. Hi.
Women of different sizes, ethnicity, religion, everybody coming together because the problem is for all of us.
Yes. Your time to know why you. Oh, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
You say,
the women of watching you. They came out today to ask
and I'm the daughter of River State. So we are the women of River State, and then we're out here today to urge. If we even need to beg, we will beg. We're urging INEC to please do the right thing on the 18th, because there's a lot of sacrifices that we do to come out here to vote. We're voting because we're deciding our future. We're deciding the future of our unborn children. So this is very, very personal to us. And what we're saying is, INEC, please stick to the Electoral Act and please deliver a free, fair, and credible election on the 18th. Thank you so much.
Of the process that brings up the leaders that we all desire in River State. I must commend you for this effort. Basically, we have seen some of the inscriptions, the placards, and what have been written on them, and we have taken note of them. And we also believe that some of these are reflected in your letter that you have just handed over to me. The commissioner is yet on his way to the office. I'm assuring you that I will deliver this later. Concerning some of the things you have raised here this morning, we are assuring you this time that we will play.
We can even need that to beg. Please. Play by the rules.
Give me assure. I bet do your work.
Do your work. Who do they need
nonsense? I assure you. Not be so assuring.
Now they assure up and down.
Nonsense. Assurance.
Just do the right thing, man. Wait till they talk.
What you see, pure desperation. What you see happening, I can speak to Lagos State. It's pretty difficult for me to speak to places where I don't live and I have very little by way of experience, but I can speak plainly to Lagos State. The seed for what is happening in Lagos State today was effectively laid with the fraudulent presidential election. And I say fraudulent because there is sufficient basis upon which to make that claim. But more importantly, the figures that were released in Lagos State as the presidential election result were already doctored before they were released. It has no basis in reality. Yes, Labour Party won.
Do you have any evidence?
Oh, yes, there is more than sufficient evidence. Where INEC has become completely unreliable in terms of declaration of result, I will not even rely on the result that we have in our situation room. If I go by what PDP released in the public space, is more than sufficient. PDP said Peter Obi and Labour Party had over 900,000 votes in Lagos State. They had a little over 100,000, and APC had the same. The truth of the matter is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was roundly rejected in Lagos State. It wasn't just the Igbos. It wasn't about the Igbos rejecting him. He was rejected across the length and breadth of Lagos State because it was a referendum on his 24 years rule and hegemony in the state. So when you now heard the INEC people announcing a result that was supposedly so close with such depressed voters number, I remember that I was on a rise maybe a couple of days after that result was released, and I said at the time very clearly that this result is not reflective of what happened. At my polling booth, they were counting votes up until 1:43 a.m. in the morning. My wife did not vote until around 8:30 in the evening. And so the same happened across the length and breadth of Lagos, despite the best effort of those who were bent on disrupting the elections. So when they brought out the figure, I said immediately that one, it was not as close as they would like to pretend that it was. It wasn't close, it was a whitewash. However, in order to validate the lies that they have to tell and the tribal hatred that they are stirring up, they had to portray a close election so that the script that they have already written for this Saturday's election might be legitimized in all the nonsense they are doing. So number one, we must be clear about something. The first duty of a state is the protection of citizens. When you have a situation where citizens are being attacked and people are being singled out for attack, you had the one in the Ododo, one Bale in the Ododo, or Kabiesi in the Ododo, suddenly remembering that he wants to worship Oro and is declaring Oro during the period when people should be out.
Well, I think we've had a clarification on that. He said the Oro rights will go up until Friday.
If you have had clarification on that, there was another one in social media today, some bearded clown talking about another Oro again. Yet this was the same person that was caught on camera during the presidential poll. So you have a situation where you can speak about the political class in a situation where you have a political class. What we're dealing with is a criminal class that is determined to hold the people down by force of arms or whatever it takes. They are making this about tribe because there is no record to place before the people. We've had 24 years. 24 years. My people have a proverb. They say, "Iṣẹ́ tó ṣe ọmọ lógún ọdún, ìyà tó jẹ ọmọ lọ́gbọ̀n oṣù. Tíṣẹ́ òun ò bá pa ọmọ, ó yẹ kó dẹ̀yìn lẹ́yìn ọmọ."
Okay.
24 years APC Lagos useless. 24 years PDP Delta State useless. Give us Labour Party. Delta State, Abia State, Lagos State, Plateau States. Those are the ones that we know of.
It's a 3-stage plan. Okay, the vision is to build.
I don't know why they put motivational background for top video.
They should stop the call it a night. It's over 1 hour and 30 something minutes.
Thank you everyone for coming to our YouTube live show. Whether you're listening now or you're going to be listening later, thank you for your time. Let us know how you're feeling about the not the Lagos, but about the upcoming gubernatorial election that is coming up in Nigeria this Saturday, March 18th. You know, are you gingered that is going to be a smooth election? Are you optimistic? Where's your level of confidence now? How many people have you motivated? Are you still having the faith and the hope that a new Nigeria is possible, and our choice to elect people that will rule us, people that will lead us, people that will serve us is still possible? Don't give up hope. Don't disregard your PVC. Right? Just know that it's going to be possible, and wish everyone well who'll be going out to vote. And until we'll see you next time, may common sense never depart from you. Bye, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Take care. Bye-bye.